Alrighty, so before we dive in to what we'll be chatting about today, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Sayyada and I'm on the technical escalations team here at Jane. I've been at Jane for over 5 years, and prior to joining, I worked as a medical office assistant at a physio and RMT clinic. So this was a really great intro into clinic life and all things Jane as well. Okay, so I asked the team if I could sneak this joke in here, and I'm hoping you all get the reference. Please let me know in the chat, and the team can let me know if you get the reference. So, the reference with being like the meme of Mariah Carey being the queen of holiday music. So, much like how Mariah Carey is defrosting and warming up her vocals for the holiday season, your clinic is gearing up for the holidays as well. I can't see you because all the cameras are turned off, but I'm hoping that you're laughing. So I'm laughing, so that's okay. Alrighty, so we've got lots of exciting topics on the agenda today. We'll be going over some tips to help 2025 start up smoothly for you. We'll start off with prep for the end of year rush with gift cards, wait lists, and scheduling closures. Next, we'll go over how to set up your 2025 schedule using breaks and shifts. And finally, we'll show you which reports to save from Jane to keep your financial and inventory tracking accurate. If you love a good to-do list like me and you find it rewarding to check tasks off, as a follow-up to today's session, you'll also receive a handy checklist with all of the tips that we'll go over today. We're really proud of this checklist. It's beautiful. I've seen it. It's awesome. So I hope that you will use it, print it out, and go through it. It also has like a countdown. So, for example, you can see here it starts off with 1 month. So that might be today. And you could start working through that checklist, which is pretty awesome. Okay, so let's jump right in. The holidays are a time for presents, spending time with loved ones, and enjoying some time off. To make sure that the holidays are profitable and easy for you, we can dive into some tips involving managing gift cards, wait lists, and clinic closure communications. Gift cards are an awesome way to give more gifting options to your clients and take advantage of the holiday rush as well. When clients purchase a gift card from Jane or from your Jane account, it creates a unique code that they can share with a loved one or use themselves. They can be purchased and both used online and in person, depending on your clinic's preferences. If you have full access permission, what you can see on the screen right here is what will be available to you in your Jane account. You can head to settings and then billing settings to be able to enable gift cards. This is also where you can enable online gift cards that your clients will be able to purchase through their My Account. And in addition to that, you can also copy that link there. It'll be different for you. But instead have your Jane URL, and you can embed that into your business website or social media for your clients to purchase gift cards. This can be really great because maybe you want to do a marketing promo via social media. So that can be a great way to bring folks in. We can take a look at the waitlist next. So this feature can help ensure that your schedule stays fully booked in the event of any last minute cancellations. You can manage the rush for those last minute appointments by letting clients register for the waitlist. That will automatically cross-reference their availability. So to do this, also as a full access user, you can head to settings, waitlists. You'll be able to enable this feature. And right below there in the final arrow, you can see that you'll have the ability to notify clients when an available spot opens up. So it'll automatically notify them, which is helpful. Takes that lift off of the administrative staff members. Let's say you want to communicate any holiday closures or clinic changes to your clients. There's a handy area in Jane found in settings and language on the left-hand menu where you'll be able to display a message on your online booking site. For example, let's say you are changing locations or you want to share your holiday hours, any closures. This can be a great way to add that message onto your online booking site and it will appear there in the form of a banner. So it'll get your client's attention really quickly. If you want to mass send an email to your clients, you can use the Jane Mailchimp integration. It'll automatically pull the contact information of your opted-in clients into Mailchimp, where you'll then be able to send that email. So this is great as well if you want to communicate any pricing changes, any closures, if you're moving locations, even also maybe like a marketing email as well. Maybe you have a lot of products that you want to sell, which we'll chat about a little bit later. But this can be a really great way to bring folks in and make sure that everyone's staying in the loop. Oh, okay, I'm now going to pop. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties. I'm now going to pop over to the demo site to show you some key pieces involving your schedule. So we'll see here, I am in the demo site. If you haven't been to our demo site before, we highly recommend it. It's a great way to test workflows without making any changes to your account. So if you're ever wondering what the password is, all good to reach out to our support team. It updates every week on Monday. So, or I think it might be Sunday actually. So we'll be able to share that with you and all of the different access levels for you to come in here and test. So we're looking at the schedule right now. As we welcome the new year, this is a great time to manage your availability going into 2025. It's an awesome time to extend your staff shifts into the new year and block off time as well using the break feature. So let me show you how you can add a break for a staff member for, let's say, the upcoming staff holiday in January. So viewing the schedule, right now we're just viewing it for one practitioner, Michael Carroll, but you have the ability to view all staff members, maybe staff members that are working today. We can focus on Michael. So clicking the break function in the bottom left corner, you'll be able to pop it into a spot in the staff member's schedule. There's this little drag option here where you can always use that if you'd like, or totally okay to use this drop down here. Breaks are great because you can add a note and it'll only be available on the administrative side of your schedule. So for example, I mentioned that we'd be doing it for the stat holiday. So we'll hop over to January 1st. I've got the double booking feature just enabled right now. That's why you saw everything shift over to the right. So we have Michael Carroll working from 12 p.m. On January 1st, but he won't be here. He'll be on holiday with his family. So we'll go ahead and block that off for him and enter in the reason why. We can go ahead and then save that break and you'll see it pop up on the schedule. So for the administrative side of the schedule, this is what it will look like. He'll be blocked off. And then for Michael's online booking site availability, it'll just appear as unbookable for patients. I mentioned as well, this is a great time to extend those shifts into the new year. So if you would like to do that one by one, you can definitely do that. If they're repeating, clicking into an individual shift, maybe it'll repeat every week and you can extend how far you would like that shift to go. But we've also got a really helpful feature called the manage shifts feature. So this can give you a really great glance at your staff members' availability. And in the same way, you'll be able to extend those shifts far into 2025. I really like this feature too, because you can do it for multiple staff members at a time. You can remove those shifts. You can make them bookable online. So it's just a different view of managing those shifts as opposed to individually. This will show you all of them for that week. Okay, so let's head back to these slides really quick. And we'll do a quick recap of what we covered in part one. So you'll be able to set up gift cards in advance so you can start selling them when the holiday rush begins. You can use breaks and shifts to manage your staff members' availability. Turning on the wait list for your clients is a great way to ensure your schedule stays packed. I know we definitely covered a lot in this first part, but it's totally okay. You can always access all of this information via the Jane guide. So that's shown right here in this slide. Now that the schedule is up to date and those gift cards are flying off of the shelves, let's talk about some year-end financial management tips. This is definitely a big task, so I'm here with you. Let's go through it bit by bit together to make sure that you're feeling good closing off those books for 2024. First, let's kick it off with resetting insurance policies. So let's head over to the demo site to see what that looks like. Okay, so most insurance policies close off at the end of the calendar year and will reset in January. To ensure Jane is properly keeping track of services that have taken place in the new year, you may wish to close existing policies for 2024 on the last day of the year, and then open up a brand new one with the same policy information being carried over to 2025. So you have the ability to do this in bulk, which is really handy. Um, to do this, you can head over to Billing in the top blue banner and click on to the insurer of your choice on the left-hand side. From there, you'll head over to insurance policies and you'll be able to filter for open and go ahead and select all. This is going to allow you to bulk reset all of those policies that are open for 2024 and reset them for 2025. If you miss doing it before the end of the year in bulk, that's totally okay. You're still able to do it individually from a patient's profile. So in this case here, rather than doing it within the insurer, you can head to a patient's profile. You'll want to go to billing, insurance policies, and you'll find that open policy there. So in the same way, you can always filter if you wish, but there's likely going to be only a couple of those open ones. You can go ahead and select it. And then from there, you'll be able to reset it for 2025. So let's see what that looks like. A little pop-up appears here, just noting that the current policy that you're looking at right now will be closed and a fresh copy will be open for 2025. So we can see. There we go. So the one that we had selected is now closed and the new one has been opened up with all of the same policy information and the new end date of December 31st, 2025. You'll also notice as well that the close policy had all of those past invoices and appointments connected to it, but this new policy is completely blank and ready to use for 2025. Alrighty, this one's a little bit more in depth, so stick with me. We're going to push through. I want to talk about an important topic, your end of year reports. So there are a few reports that we're going to be chatting about today, and I definitely recommend saving these in order to kick off 2025 accurately and just making sure everything is reconciled well. So we're going to cover the essential ones. We'll look at the sales report, the transactions report, the billing summary report, and we'll also look at your accounts receivable as well and how you can kind of understand that report. So starting off with the sales report, it shows a list of all sales generated or invoices generated during a specific date range. You're able to filter this report by income category, which can provide you with a more granular look at where the income is specifically coming from. You can see as well a bit more in detail within this report, looking at the status of those invoices, the taxes as well, and also the different treatment types or maybe product types. We'll take a look at the transactions report next. So Jane's transactions report is commonly used as a cash out report for reconciling your clinic's POS machine as well as cash and checks at the end of the day. This report will show you all payments that were collected for the date range selected, regardless of whether or not they have been applied. So for example, you'll see here these payments have been applied and you'll see the invoice then appear, but it's okay. If you don't see an invoice appear there, it just means that you have collected payment or income has come into the clinic, but it hasn't yet been applied to an invoice. This report also lists the details of each transaction, so organized by payment method. So that's the quick summary at the top. You can see the totals, but if you want to go a little bit more in depth, you can go ahead and scroll down. And you can also filter by location too. Let's go take a look at the billings summary report next. So this report provides you with a general overview of your day-to-day financial information of your clinic. The way that I found this report and all the other reports was heading to billing in the top blue banner and going to reports on the left-hand side. If you were to go to reports, you'd still find these there as well. So using the billing summary report, you'll be able to contrast the amount that was invoiced during a given period. So that's basically the sales report, all of those invoices that you've generated, and the amounts applied to those invoices across different categories. So we mentioned that the transactions report shows you payment coming into the clinic. The sales report are those invoices that have been generated, and the billing summary report is kind of like a combination of those two. It'll show you what payment you've applied to those invoices. It can be particularly useful for tracking who has been paying you through those income sources, and also for taxes as well. You're able to run this report for any time period that you wish by using the date range filter, and you can also filter by staff member as well. So I mentioned that it's really helpful to save these reports for your bookkeeper or your accountant. And a pro tip, you can always click on the three dots in the top right corner to export these reports to Excel or CSV, or you can print them as well. Okay, so those were the three main ones that we covered. Let's look at the accounts receivable report next. And you can see that I just found that by going still within the billing tab or even the reports tab, and then accounts receivable on the left-hand side. So the accounts receivable report, or we refer to it as the AR report, lists all patients and insurers with outstanding balances. These results can be filtered by your different locations, by staff members, or even account types, whether that would be insurers or patient accounts. And date as well. You can also filter by date. I found that with the AR report, it's always just helpful to look at it for the date that you're on. That'll show you the most up-to-date information. You can also sort this report alphabetically by amount owing or how long that amount has been owing for. So you can just go ahead and click on those different headers and Jane will filter it for you. So the AR report displays outstanding invoice amounts, but a patient's account credit or even an insurer's account credit isn't factored into this. So for example, let's say a patient has an outstanding invoice of $100, but an account credit of $20. The AR report will only show you the outstanding amount of $100, so it won't take into account that $20. Keeping this all in mind, we recommend using this report along with the credit report. The credit report will be able to show you those available balances for your patients and your insurers. So that way you can see any patients that have any balances remaining to be able to apply to those outstanding amounts. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a number of patients here. To see outstanding invoices for a particular patient or an insurer, you can go ahead and click on their name, and that'll bring you directly into their billing page, which will be filtered to show you only those outstanding invoices that are contributing to that balance. A nice, easy way to remind your patients to settle those outstanding balances is to send them a pay balance reminder. This is a feature that's available to all of our Jane Payments users, and the reminder can be sent to patients via email or SMS. So you'll find this within the billing tab, purchases. Right now, we're just filtered for those outstanding amounts. But if you were just on the patient profile and not filtered for any private outstanding, you can still click on the pay balance email, and it will only show those outstanding amounts. So you might want to send a nice message to your patient, just letting them know, hey, you've got this outstanding amount. Please click on the link to be able to settle this amount, or when you come in for your next appointment, I'll let you know and you can settle it then. And then you can go ahead and send it. When we head back over to the slides, I'll show you what that email and SMS reminder look like. Understandably, sometimes you just may not receive those amounts. At that time, it may make sense to write off the owed amount so you can keep track of your accounts receivable, make sure everything's looking good, and also to have a record as well that you attempted to collect it. So let's take a look at what it looks like to write off amounts. Still within the patient's profile, within the billing tab and within purchases, you can go ahead and click on that blue link for the patient invoice. Or if there's an insured invoice, you can go ahead and click on that too and also write off the amount through this workflow. So clicking on that patient invoice, it'll then open up that particular invoice for you. And beside the save and cancel button, you'll see a drop-down menu. Clicking onto that drop-down menu, you'll see the option to write off the amount. So you can go ahead and click on that. And you'll see that the status of the invoice has been changed to written off, and the owing amount for the patient is now $0. Sometimes, of course, things happen just when you least expect it. The patient comes back and they are able to provide payment. That's totally okay. You can go ahead and then click on reverse write off, and that amount will be outstanding again. And then you can go through your regular workflow of receiving payment from the patient. So here's what that pay balance reminder email or text looks like for your client. You'll be able to see within the SMS that they have the ability to click on the link to go directly to your Jane account. And within the email, they can click on that pay button. It'll bring them over to their My account. They can settle that amount, and you'll see everything reconciled within your account. So before we move on, let's go over what we just learned. So we talked about resetting insurance policies in bulk before the end of the year. But if you don't get to it before the end of the year, that's okay. You can still do it individually. We talked about the sales report, transactions report, the billing summary report, and saving all of those for your bookkeeper or your accountant. We also talked about the AR report to see who owes you what, and how to follow up with a pay balance reminder, email, or SMS. For any folks that sell products, it definitely feels great to have a good understanding of your product numbers waiting for you once you come back from some rest and relaxation. So the inventory report basically shows you the value of goods at a moment of time, just like a snapshot. You can access this report by going to reports in the top blue banner, and then inventory pretty close to the bottom. So you want to scroll to the bottom in the left hand menu. Using Jane's inventory report, you can view the current state of your clinic's inventory, calculate the current value of the products that you have on hand. And since the inventory report will only show you the current state of your clinic's inventory as of today's date, so as you can see here in the top filters for this report, you can only filter by location, supplier, so there's no date range. So it'll just show you your current stock of inventory. Given that it will show you the current state of your inventory, you'll want to export this report on the date that you'd like to use as a reference point. So for example, you could do the end of the month, the end of the year, maybe the end of your fiscal year, whatever you choose, it'll just be up to date as of that date. If you'd like to write off any expired amounts, you can do so by updating the inventory levels. You can head to settings, products, and edit for that particular product. Or if you're just on the inventory report, you could click on the blue link for the name of that product, and it will bring you to this same area. You'll want to deduct the quantity or increase it if you're having more product coming in, and you'll want to make sure you enter in the reason for the change. There are logs for the product, so it's always helpful to see when you may have gotten more product and yeah, just the reason for the change. All right, everyone, that brings us to the end here, but I want to share a few more important pieces with you before our time together wraps up. So, as a reminder to today's session, you'll receive a checklist with all of the tips that we went over for year end. Our support team are the best of the best. You'll get to interact with many other lovely folks, just like Lauren and Abby, and you'll get speedy answers to your questions as well. We offer unlimited human support with all of our plans here at Jane during accessible hours and even on Saturdays, which is pretty helpful. There are also a fantastic community of peers within the Jane App community Facebook group who are happy to share advice with you, answer any of your questions. You can also have access to posts from our Jane community team on any guides, checklists, tutorials, links to upcoming support and product demo webinars. There's also really something really cool as well, which we have called Ambassador Office Hours, where you can learn from practice owners, discipline experts about topics that may not have been covered in school. So, just a great way to connect with your peers, build your community as well within your discipline, outside of your discipline, make some friends. Everybody in there is really nice. This isn't the only webinar till the end of the year. We've got a couple of more. So, more exciting events coming your way with the upcoming webinar from our Ginger Desk friends on clinic prep for the end of the year. So, definitely check that one out. I'm going to be going to that one. So, I'll see you. Okay, a great big thank you from me and our team to you. We wish you all a festive holiday, a bright new year, and I hope that this session has been helpful. I've enjoyed my time with you. And yeah, thank you all so much, everyone. I'll stick around a little bit longer for any Q&A, but yeah, let me stop sharing my screen now. Okay, so it sounds like we've got some folks that are curious about the timing of the insurance reset and why it needs to be done each year and why it's time sensitive. So let's actually, would you like me to share my screen? Maybe it might be helpful. Let me do that. Okay, so the timing of the insurance um, reset. I mentioned that you can do it in bulk for all open insurance policies for a particular insurer. So resetting them for 2025. But if we look specifically at a patient's profile, yeah, it's just handy to do it each year because closing off a policy kind of signifies that these were the specific services that were provided to a patient within that calendar year for that particular policy. I know sometimes that, of course, like if somebody's using their work benefits, the policy information doesn't really change, but it's just helpful for your clinic to kind of keep everything organized within the different time periods. So I remember when I worked at a clinic, I found this really helpful, especially for patients that may have been in a car accident. Kind of having that all within one specific policy and closing it off and kind of keeping track of end dates as well was really helpful. Why it's time sensitive? Um, it sort of is because you can do it in bulk, but you can always do it from the patient profile. You can see here that even though I went ahead and reset it for 2025, I'm still able to view that policy. I can still go ahead and use it, apply it to any invoices. Yeah, let's just say if I do that right now and it does change the status to closed, that's really okay. I could still open it up again, go ahead and save it. So basically, it's helpful to use this feature because Jane kind of takes care of that action for you of closing off the past policy, opening up a new one. But let's say you do it now, but the patient still comes in for sessions in December. Totally okay. Still use the one that you've got. Just open it back up. I'm not sure if this one has been answered already, but I think there was a question from Christy asking if you have to wait until the last week of the year to complete it for the insurance resetting. You could do it now, like I showed you. You could do it in the last week of the year. You still have the ability to use that existing policy and open it back up again. But I definitely would recommend doing it at the last. Oh, no worries. You're welcome, Christy. I'm glad that I got that one. but it can be done at any time. We have a question from Dorothy Wood. When I referred to the credit report, which one was I referring to? Yeah, so let me go ahead and share my screen again. I also know that we got some questions about write-offs, so I'll come back to that one. I promise I won't forget. So Dorothy, you were wondering which credit report I was referring to. So yeah, that's a good question. I had talked about it when I was talking about the accounts receivable report and how this report just shows you the outstanding amounts, but not any balances that are available for your clients. So the credit report is just right below that. Okay, so we can go ahead and see that Abigail now has $100 worth of um, available credit on their profile. So if I go back to the credit report, let's just go ahead and refresh. We'll now be able to see Abigail pop up. So if Abigail had any outstanding amounts, but you came to your credit report and saw that they had a balance that was available to apply, maybe you wouldn't need to send that pay balance reminder. You could go ahead and just use that credit. So yeah, it's kind of helpful to use those two different reports. But of course, if you always navigate to the patient profile, you'll always be able to see that. And if there's anything that's outstanding, that credit will be available there for you to apply. Diane asked what to do when there are unpaid fees for a client that didn't come to their last appointment and they're not responding. How would you close off the year with that? First of all, definitely challenging. Um, that's probably the hardest part, I think, with running a business and a clinic, especially when you're offering treatment and service to have to kind of follow up on those. So I totally get it, Diane. That's really tricky. So if they came for the last appointment and they aren't responding, I think definitely trying out at least to send that pay balance reminder to them is great because here I'll show you. Mm, You would definitely write something a little bit better than that, but once you send it, um, it'll go ahead and appear in the messages tab. So at least starting off with that, I think is a good way to kind of move forward because then it will then be logged in the patient's messages tab, just so you can reference it just in case the patient said they didn't receive it. You'll always be able to see the status of that email, whether it's been delivered successfully, opened, clicked, if they clicked onto that pay button. So I think that's a really great place to start. If you do find that, okay, the patient's not going to provide payment, that's where you would then carry out that workflow that I mentioned before about writing off. So we'll find a patient that has an outstanding amount. You'll click onto that patient invoice, and then you can then write it off. Good thing to note about the write-offs report is that this invoice that I just wrote off will appear on the write-offs report today, the date that I wrote it off. So it won't appear on the write-offs report on the date that the invoice was generated. Just something handy that I thought I would share. Okay, take care. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. A lovely November, December. Thank you all so much for joining and yeah, take care. Thanks.